co-host can unmute their mic. All others, please keep your mic mute during the meeting. Okay, now I'll be playing. Okay, now I'll be playing.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
Okay, some of the participants are messaging me that I'm not audible. I'm using my microphone, and if still it is not audible to you, let me take.
Ma'am, it's audible. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
जी आरती मैम, क्या नहीं सुन पा रहे हैं?
Ma'am, you were audible.
Please reply. Then I'll repeat it. Okay, I just gave you information about the workshop that now I'll be playing the full Geet, which I have already played. And now in few minutes, our director Professor Rajkumar will be joining, and our resource person Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, she'll be joining soon. Then we can start our technical session. This is the information I gave.
Ma'am, please share the file you need to download for the technical session, please.
Lost your voice again, Dr. Aarti.
I don't know what is the issue. Now I'm not using my microphone, and Still, if it is not audible.
No, ma'am, I can hear you. This is Digvijay, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. If you feel like कि आप कोई आपको नहीं सुन पा रहा है बीच में मीटिंग के दौरान, तो यू कैन जस्ट ऑफ योर वीडियो. उससे आपका बैंडविड्थ कम कंज्यूम होगा और आपका माइक्रोफोन अच्छी तरह
Okay,
वर्क कर
okay,
पाएगा.
fine, 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 Digvijay, fine, fine.
राइट,
Okay,
राइट,
thank
राइट.
you. Although I was using LAN wire of university, still if I have connectivity issue, that's why I have switched off my video, so that you can hear me. Gulati, please mute your mic.
Aarti ma'am, am I audible? Aarti ma'am, Dr. Aarti?
Yes, ma'am. Am I
Yes, ma'am,
audible?
you are audible.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to check. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay,
Just
ma'am.
let me
Fine.
know when we have to start. Okay,
Just
I'm on
wait a
mute
minute.
now.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, ma'am. Sure. Our director, Professor Rajkumar, will be joining soon. Just within a minute, he'll join. Finance Committee. So he can give us only 2 minutes. Just wait 30 seconds, he'll be joining soon.
नमस्कार सर।
I'm not switching on my video because there's some network issue. Then I'll not be able to hear you clearly. A very good afternoon to all of you. I heartily welcome our respected Director Professor Rajkumar, our today's resource person Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, Workshop Coordinator Dr. Kuldeep Chaudhary, other all faculty members and research scholars who are gathered here on this platform to attend this 2 days workshop on meta-analysis. Now I would like to request our Director Professor Rajkumar to say few words about the workshop. Sir, please.
Good morning. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Good morning to all of you, and I'm especially thankful and grateful to Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, working at Pearl Academy as an associate professor, for sparing her valuable time and delivering a very relevant topic in the present scenario. So far is the conduct of research is concerned. Sorry for this interruption. So I was pointing out the significance of the topic that which today Dr. Jaspreet Kaur will deliberate on. That is the meta-analysis and understanding and learning of this technique, a special research tool that would be very beneficial for the research scholars, teachers, because in the present time, the processing of information with the help of software has become so convenient until unless you understand and you have an understanding of running a particular software. I believe that today, after completing this 2 days workshop, the participants, they will be able to understand this, what a really meta-analysis is and what are the different softwares which we can use for conducting meta-analysis. Long back, this meta-analysis terms was coined by Mr. Glass in 1976, and he defined this technique as an statistical analysis of a large collection of results from individual studies for the purpose of integrating the findings. Rather, Mr. Glass has pointed out that it is an analysis of analyze. Suppose repeatedly clinical experiments were conducted a particular time frame, and if you want to draw inference from all the experimented conducted during that particular time frame by defining your objectives, so you can easily calculate, you can easily understand the effect size of all the similar clinical trials conducted during this period. Though, to my best of my understanding, though I am not an expert in the so far as technique is concerned, but I have read that basically from medical sciences this approach started, and now it is widely applicable. Maybe in the clinical side is concerned, sociology, management, in every field, this meta-analysis has occupied space in the field of research. All of you are very well versed with a simple traditional narrative view, because under the traditional narrative review, the review is conducted, either some time order is used for conducting the review, that, or sometimes we order, author wise order is followed, sometimes concept wise order is followed, sometimes variable wise order is followed. Sometimes if you are more interested in understanding the relationships, then all these relationship wise review, a traditional narrative review, all of you, I think you have conducted a review if you are an already research scholar, or if any of you have written any research paper, in that case also you have conducted a traditional narrative view. The basic purpose of this traditional narrative view is to draw in a gap, how the particular research, how the area of interest of your topic has researched over the period, and what additional and what new insight you want to bring or your research will bring. So that is in a narrative view of, that is in a traditional narrative review of literature. But on the other side, there is a systematic review, because sometimes a systematic review and the meta-analysis both are used interchangeably, and the two terms are sometimes they are also synonyms to each other. A systematic review is a type of review which answers a focused research question, or when and within which the meta-analysis may be a systematic review typically, but there are the certain formulated research questions and a statistical synthesis that is used in the meta-analysis. So this is a very elementary view I have in my understanding, though I am not an expert, but a clear-cut statistical synthesis, when it is incorporated in the systematic review, it takes the shape of the meta-analysis. So I, on behalf of IMSAR MDU family, welcome Dr. Jaspreet Kaur for sparing her valuable time. I also want to share with her that our university is an A++ university, and our NAC accreditation score at the 4-point scale, it is 3.44, which is an ahead of the Delhi University score. Though we are not comparing both the university, but so far as scoring is concerned, our score is more than the Delhi University score. And the university was established in 1976 with very few departments, and one of that department was the IMSAR, Institute of Management Studies and Research. Earlier it was known as a Department of Business Administration, but later on it was renamed as an Institute of Management Studies and Research. Basically, initially we started with the intake of 10 students, and today we are running 4 different programs: 2-year MBA programs, 2-year honors programs, 2-year business economics program, 5-year MBA integrated program, and we also offer a very industry relevant specialization to our students, like business analytics, public policies, agri-business, and along with we are also running a diploma in digital marketing and business analytics. This is a brief overview of my university and as well as my institute. I also welcome to all the participants who have registered themselves for attending this 2 days online workshop. Though it is because COVID pandemic has spread so heavily, so therefore nowadays it is very difficult to conduct a program physically. But technology has blessed us in spite of our limitation of physical presence. Virtually through technology mode, we can have an interactive session with each other. I'm also thankful to the organizers, especially to Aarti and Kuldeep, for arranging this program, for conducting this program in a very by following the timeline and selecting an appropriate speaker for this 2 days workshop on meta-analysis. With all these words, I once again welcome all of you in this 2 days workshop. Thank you, and over to Aarti.
Thank you so much for sparing the time, sir, out of your tight schedule. We just came to know about your meeting. So you can proceed, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sparing the time. We will handle it now. Source person, Dr. Jaspreet Kaur. Dr. Jaspreet Kaur is an associate professor at Pearl Academy. She has over 16 years of teaching experience in marketing research. I just want to confirm, am I audible? Please message. Otherwise, there would be no use of giving the introduction. Message in chat box. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. She has authored two books on customer relationship management and service marketing and has written many research papers in Scopus and ABDC journals. She is an editor and reviewer to many ABDC and Scopus journals of consumer studies, like the Journal of Consumer Studies, Wiley, and Management Decisions, Emerald. These are the two of the journals. She is an AMT certified faculty from AIMA and has received the GRAPS Best Researcher Award in 2008. She has also awarded with Accredited Management Teacher by AIMA in year 2011 and Teaching and Research Excellence Award by GRAPS Educational Trust in 2015 for her outstanding contribution to teaching and research. She is also awarded with ITSR Best Researchers Award in 2020. She has conducted over 25 FDPs and workshops on the topics of systematic review and meta-analysis and qualitative research with NYIWO this year. Now I would like to welcome our resource person Dr. Jaspreet Kaur to start the session and address the participants. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
A very good morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Do give my regards to sir who just came in. I think he was very specific. He was. I think this as an organization, I think research is the prime concern here. He was describing the courses. I just noticed that a new course on data analytics and digital marketing. I'm really impressed. I mean, something which is there in the management domain now as one of the key areas, coming up with key jobs. So, I mean, applaudable. Do give my regards to him. And let me start with today's session. I think I'll be on from 11:30 to 1:30. Aarti ma'am. the first session?
Right now. Right now.
Right. So
11:30 to 1:30.
11:30 to 1:30. Okay, so I'll just switch off my video right now so that I can get better connectivity, and I'll share with me. But yeah, before doing that, before switching off the video, let me share, and please do let me know if you can see the PPTs. So this is share, and okay, I'm sharing my screen because I'll be switching between papers, between websites, between Word documents. So can all of you see this PPT? Can everybody see this? Okay, great. So now I think I can. Okay. So let's start with and one more thing. At any point of time, I hope all the participants are on mute. And at any point, if I'm not audible or my voice is cracking, I would request Dr. Aarti only to stop me, because sometimes participants have connectivity issues and they put up that we can't hear, but actually everybody can hear. So I request Dr. Aarti only to tell me that whether I'm audible or not. Okay, so we're starting with systematic review and meta-analysis. Again, so spoke about systematic review being different from normal review. By the end of these 2 hours, you all should have a feeling that systematic review is much, much more different than a basic review. So let me tell you what all we are going to cover. So this is what is like a 5-day plan. Okay, I'll be introducing you to systematic review and meta-analysis in these first 2 hours, because let me tell you very frankly, we'll all be in for a shock. So even I was in for a shock that systematic review, which basically sounds like a review, is so complicated. It has some 11 steps. Okay, rightly said by sir as he introduced this technique comes from the medical sciences. Okay, thus it is all the more systematic and all the more complex vis-a-vis a normal basic review. The day 2 or the session 2 basically here will be about data extraction and how to calculate effect size. We'll be doing what is fixed and random model. We'll be doing heterogeneity measures. We'll be doing publication bias, and then meta regression with a moderator and subgroup analysis. I will show you a paper after every session. So after say 2-hour session that I'm taking right now, I'll show you a research paper, because just listening to the technique is of no use if you can't put it up into a paper. Okay, and when I finish suppose effect size, I'll show you one paper, and maybe we'll reach till table number 1 of paper, and then table number 2 is heterogeneity, and then table number 3 is publication bias, so on and so forward. We'll be taking these 2 days. Now, systematic review. A systematic review collects all possible studies related to a given topic and design, and reviews and analyzes their results. So I can say that when I'm doing a systematic review, what I'm doing is I am collecting data from say the past 20 years of research. It might be a data of some 200 papers. I'm going to collect it and I'm going to summarize it. Okay, so I'm going to collect the data and I'm going to summarize it. The good thing about a systematic review is that suppose I'm taking a very, very simple relationship. I'm assuming there are PhD scholars, so I'm taking a very simple relationship. We all know that attitude impacts purchase intention. Okay, so attitude impacts purchase intention. This we know. Okay. But some papers says it does impact and some papers says it doesn't impact. So there are conflicting results. ठीक है, कुछ ऑथर बोल रहे हैं एटीट्यूड इंटेंशन को इम्पैक्ट करता है, कुछ ऑथर बोल रहे हैं नहीं इम्पैक्ट करता. So there are conflicting reviews. So if I take 20 papers together, you can say that there is a dilemma. What should I take as real? Now, when the same thing happens in medical studies, now let's talk about the present scenario. Okay, so we have a COVID scenario. There is a particular vaccine okay, which was say invented last year. Now suppose this vaccine was effective on increasing immunity. So here we have two variables. One is vaccine and second is immunity. It's a bivariate relationship, okay? Vaccine impacts immunity. Now, if I collect all the studies of all the vaccines which have come up, so Pfizer, BioNTech, Covaxin, there's another vaccine which has come up by Johnson and Johnson's in United States. If I take all the studies of all vaccines, I will find out that some are saying there is a relationship between vaccine and immunity, and some are saying there is no relationship. Now, here comes the problem of systematic review. So, when in case of vaccine, I have to decide that whether I should bring a vaccine to India or not. And I am referring to the past studies, say 20 studies done in 20 different countries. All studies are conflicting. Some are saying the vaccine is good. Some are saying vaccine not good. Some are saying effective on COVID. Some are saying not effective. Some are saying effective on one strand of COVID, and some are saying effective on the second strand of COVID. Now what do? There are too many studies and they are all conflicting. Meta-analysis or systematic literature review is a method in which we consolidate these studies, we summarize these studies, organize these studies, and finally come out with a summarized research, result or a number. So, let me explain the difference between a normal review and a systematic review through an example, and then I'll take you to an actual script of a normal review. So the normal review of literature that all of you make in your PhDs or you make in your research papers is called narrative review. Okay, so that normal review, let me not use the word normal. It's not a very technical word, but yes, what I mean to say is your review of literature chapters are called narrative reviews. Okay, vis-a-vis that, what I'm going to tell you today is a systematic review. Now you'll say, what is the difference? To understand the difference, let me take an example. So suppose I, Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, turned rich overnight. मतलब रातों रात मेरे पास मतलब कुछ बहुत सारे करोड़ों रुपए आ जाते हैं, and I feel I'll leave my job. I have turned rich and I say I'm going to leave my job, and I am fond of the game polo somehow. So I start, making a polo team of my own, and then own a polo team. I want to get into that sort of a thing. Now, because I want to own a polo team and the horses have to be fast, okay, or the horses have to be efficient to win the game, I go to vendors selling horses. Okay, so I'm in Delhi, so I go to Delhi and I search vendors who are selling horses. I come across two vendors. One is the vendor on the left side. So he shows me a horse and he says, ma'am, the horse is brown in color. It is one of the finest breeds in UK. It has won over 500 races. It has a rocket ball speed and a superb efficiency. Now, this is what is narrative. He's giving a narration. He's speaking to me in context, in textual form. He's speaking to me in a subjective way. He's speaking to me in a qualitative way. Okay, if I go to the second horse, he'll say the same things about the second horse. Now, how do I differentiate between the horses then? But on the contrary, I go to another vendor who's there on the right side of my slide. And this guy says, okay, ma'am, I have these 40 horses. Okay, and the power of each horse is so on and so forth. So, suppose horse number 1, ma'am, the power is 0.9. 0.9 out of 1 means 90% of the times he's won a race. Suppose that is what the power is talking about. So the power of one horse is 0.9, the other one is 0.3, the other one is 0.5, the other one is 0.8. Now here, because he's given me a magnitude of the power, it is easier for me to choose my horses. I will pick up the horses who have a power of 0.8, 0.9, because I want a superb team which should be winning the polo game from my side. Okay, This process that I've explained with the second vendor is something that we call systematic literature review and then meta-analysis. Okay, so now let me come to the differences between a narrative review and systematic review. But before that, let me show you a narrative review. I'm dead sure all of you have done this at some level, maybe at PhD level, or submitting a paper to the conference or submitting a research paper. There's always this chapter number 2, which is called review of literature. And it seems something like this. Okay, so a narrative review is something like this. Now, just look at the number of authors you have taken. Suppose this is your research review chapter in the research paper. Look at the number of authors we have taken. So there's a Kabalan, McCarthy, Kirchner, Junko, Kirchner again, and Lau. So there are some 5 authors. That's it. There are just 5 authors in this review. But when I will work with a SLR paper, I will show you an SLR paper. So when I work with an SLR paper, I have somewhere around 112 authors whose research findings I summarize. So this is the first difference. Number 2, I mean, how many of you know how you have selected these authors? Rather, I'll tell you how you selected it. I do the same. We always select the most famous person from our domain. So if we are working on marketing, we'll refer to Kotlers and Kellers and Askins, etc. If we are doing a paper on sustainability domain, we will refer to Russell Bell, Dr. Sheeran, Whittle and Scott, okay, Carrington, Carrigan. These are the authors. These are the very famous authors. So I pick up them. If you are doing a research on, say, information technology, especially when you come to the UT model, Venkatesh 2002, Venkatesh et al. 2012. So we are biased in a narrative review. We are biased towards picking up the most famous authors in narrative review. But when I have a set of some 112 authors in a systematic literature review, I seriously can't have a bias. 112 means there is not a single author, famous, not famous, published, not published, rejected, accepted. There's not a single author I have left for summarizing my whole SLR paper. Okay, now come to the difference of narrative review and systematic review. The hypothesis in a narrative review is generalized, but in a systematic review, we have a clear, defined objective. You will understand this point better when I go to the step number 1 of systematic literature review, which is deciding for a research problem. And you'll see that when we are deciding for a research problem, there's a proper scientific process called PICO, which we have to do. It's not just one line to study the impact of attitude on intention. No, it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be that easy. So there's a paragraph which you have to write, which has to have the PICO, P-I-C-O, 4 definitions, and only then can you formulate a research objective or a hypothesis. So in a systematic review, we are very, very defined. We are very, very specific. And in narrative review, we are general. In narrative review, we are thematic. Thematic means it's narrative, it's textual, it's qualitative. But in systematic review, we are specific. We are more targeted. Okay. In a narrative review, there is no previous protocol. Okay, so protocol is a set of rules and norms that you have to follow when you're writing an SLR paper. Have you ever heard that there's a protocol to be followed in basic review or narrative review? When you're writing, there are no protocols. What you select, how many lines you write for one author, how many lines you write in definition, how many lines you write in hypothesis proving, nothing is defined. But in a systematic literature review, there's something called a protocol. There's a flow chart that has to be given by the name of Prisma in the paper of an SLR. Okay, objectives, narrative review, not very clear, systematic. They are a priori. When I say a priori, they have to be decided even before you plan to do a research. the other basic, I'll not take up all points, I'll take up the basic ones. So a narrative review is more subjective, a systematic review is more objective. There is no statistical analysis in a narrative review. I just showed you a narrative review. There are no stats, there are no numbers, there are no powers, there are no magnitudes. All these things are present in a systematic review. So in systematic review, when we go to meta-analysis, that is quantifying the SLR. So now let us go to steps in a systematic literature review paper. So I'm going to show you a systematic literature review paper in this part of the session. And then in the second part that we have, which I think is from 2 to 4, I'm going to show you a meta-analysis paper. Right, so I have 2 papers to show you in these 2 sessions. The systematic literature review paper is going to be just an SLR paper without meta-analysis. And then in the second session, I'll show you a paper which is a mix of SLR plus meta-analysis, right? So let's learn what we are going to learn. So what are the steps in a systematic review and meta-analysis? So the whole paper, what are the steps? Number 1 is determine the research objective. Now here I'm going to switch screens. I'm going to actually tell you that how I decide the research objective of my papers and the 3 papers that right now are in review process of an A-grade journal. So how I decided the topic. So if they are in review, which means they have got through the editor, and if they have got through the editor, it means that definitely the editor saw some gap. Okay. So when we come to the topic of the research or the research question, be it SLR or be it any other research, the gap is very important. But first, let me tell you the technique of writing a research question in an SLR. So the research question is written in a very systematic form of PICO. The PICO stands for population, intervention, comparison, and outcome. Okay. Throughout the 2 days, I will be working on a particular model. Okay. Because I understand that you all come from different domains. I come from the marketing management domain, so I'll be picking up one example so that all of you can relate to it. So we are going to work on in the systematic literature review and meta-analysis. We are going to work on this model. This model is a very, very famous model known as the theory of planned behavior, the TPB model given by Aston, 1991. This model has been used in every domain of management. So it has been used in HR, it's been used in marketing, finance, it's also been used in sociology, so criminology, etc. also it's getting used. Now, in this model, there is one relationship, only one, that I'm going to do a meta-analysis on. When you do a systematic review and meta-analysis, you'll repeat the same for all the bivariate relationships that you see in this model. So I am going to do an SLR and a meta-analysis for attitude impacts intention. Because this model is very, very common, there are at least 2,000 papers. 2,000 papers in management, okay, where authors have proven that attitude impacts intention, or they have proven that it does not impact intention. I told you conflicting results. Okay, so you will get some 2,000 papers. What we'll do in these 2 days is we'll consolidate and summarize them. Okay, we'll summarize them in 2 days, and finally tomorrow evening we should be able to say that okay, we have summarized all the papers of attitude intention in a particular domain. Now, before doing this, I have to set up a research question. Okay, so the research question has to be described in this form. You have to tell me your population, you have to tell me your intervention, you have to tell me the comparison, you have to tell me the outcome. I'm dead sure all of you who have written basic review papers till now, or any papers, be it structural equational modeling or correlation, whatever, I don't think any of you have ever written your research question in these 4 terms. This is specific, very, very specific in an SLR paper. You can ask me how important it is. An SLR paper cannot be written if you are defining a research question in 1 line. and not telling me the population intervention comparison and outcome of that paper. It cannot be written till the time you don't do the PICO. And as I told you, this method comes from the medical domain. So it is scientific and it is technical. It's not as easy as we take it in social sciences that we have. So I'll give you an example of a meta-analytical study my student came up with. She said there was a very dedicated student. She came up to me and said, "Ma'am, I want to do a meta-analysis on luxury brands." I said, "Fine, go ahead." "Ma'am, I want to do a meta-analysis on luxury brands which are using animal skin." I said, "Fine, go ahead, do the PICO." So she went back and she did the PICO and she came back. So she said, "Ma'am, see, my population is the young, ethically conscious consumers of India, okay, or abroad, because this is a systematic literature review study, and you're summarizing all the studies of the past. You cannot specifically use the word India." Okay, so population is young, ethical, conscious consumers. When you define your population, you pick up papers only, secondary data papers only from this population. So if she was working on luxury brands using animal skin and she was doing an SLR, she picked up research papers where the sample was young, ethically conscious consumers from any country, from any age group. Okay. Number two, intervention. She said, "Ma'am, once I collect this data, once I collect some 100 papers which have been done on young ethical consumers who have been buying, say, luxury which uses luxury products which use animal skin, ma'am, next I want to do is I want to intervene the data with religiosity. I want to see the impact of religion in those 100 papers." I said, "Fine, you can go ahead. What is your comparison?" She says, "Ma'am, among these 100 papers, I would like to segregate them into males and females. Let me see if the young, ethically conscious consumers, males, are different from females when it comes to what? What is our research problem? Our research problem is still this: attitude impacts intention." So what is she doing? She is collecting some 100 papers where attitude and intention have been correlated, okay, and the studies are only of the luxury domain, and the studies are only from the young consumers. That is exactly what she's doing. So after doing this, she says, "I'm going to compare." And I said, "What is the outcome?" She said, this is a point where generally kids get emotional. Rather than giving a managerial outcome, they start giving the emotional outcome. So when I asked her what is going to be the outcome of this research, you're doing an SLR on how attitude of a luxury consumer, young luxury consumer, impacts the intention of purchase of a luxury product. I've understood your problem. You're going to intervene with religiosity. You're going to compare male female groups. I've understood everything, but what is the outcome? Why are you doing this research? So the answer she gave me is that, "Ma'am, because animals are getting killed." So I was a little taken aback. I said, "So, ma'am, animals are getting killed and there's a lot of cruelty going on." I said, "Beta, that's fine, but we are management students. We are not sociology students. We are not anthropology students. We are supposed to be, defining the outcome in terms of managerial implication. When you finish this paper and you'll write the last chapter in conclusion, there'll be a segment called managerial implication. What will you write?" So she said, "Ma'am, I'll write that a lot of harm is being done to the animal." And I said, what do managers have to take from it?" So she went back. After a few days, she came back and she said, "Ma'am, I've got the outcome." I said, "Yes, tell me." She said, "Ma'am, I have reports of Forbes, which is a very authentic, organization." She says, "I have report from Forbes and PwC saying that luxury brands like Burberry, etc., have stopped using original fur. I have such reports." I said, "Fine. Why have they stopped using a fur?" "Ma'am, they have stopped using fur because their consumers have started refusing buying products which harm animal. Now, this is where the managerial implication of an SLR paper comes. And she showed me the sales figure and how sales, while using original fur for Burberry, etc., started declining because the consumers, the young, ethical, conscious consumers, had stopped buying their products. Okay, thanks to organizations like PETA. Now she said, ma'am, after I consolidate these 100 studies on young consumers about luxury market, and I compare their religion and I compare their male and female, I'll give this report to the luxury brand companies, and they will be able to strategize better after looking at this SLR paper. So this is how you define the objective. We are still at step number 1 of an SLR paper. This is the method of defining an objective. And if you go back to your respective PhDs and research papers, you remember how easy it was to define an objective? All you had to write is one line: to understand the impact of attitude on intention, to study the impact of attitude on intention. Where it is so very simple in a narrative review paper, it is all the more complex and systematic through a PICO in an SLR paper. I hope the objective making is clear, with an example, of course. So the first step is determine the objective, and then it says assemble a team. For an SLR paper, if you think you're going to be the sole author and you'll be able to get through, you would be mistaken. You need a research team for an SLR paper. See, you're going to consolidate the report of some 200 papers. For getting those 200 papers, I'll just take you through that process. You will come across some 10,000 papers. Those 10,000 papers will have to be screened on the basis of title, then screened on the basis of abstract, then screened on the basis of statistical measures that are there, and then you reach these 200 papers or 100 papers. So it's a very lengthy process. And when you're saying a paper is a review paper, normal review paper, you can still justify that I left out this study, this study, this study. But when you tell an editor of a paper that my paper is an SLR paper, you should have not left even a single study in the past. So that's a Herculean task, and for that you will need a team. Now, PhD students might ask me that, ma'am, how do I go about it? Because I don't have a team. So when you select a set of papers, say 100, 140 papers for an SLR, you will have to go to your guide and show it to them and ask if there is any paper that I have not included in it. Further, there might be experts in your domain. Please go and show them the list and say, sir, do you feel I have left out any paper? Okay, so when you do this, this is assumed to be your research team when it comes to a PhD student. Number 3, determine if there are any registered or published systematical review. Now, this is the most interesting part. So let's go to the database. To see if there's a registered protocol, you will have to go to very famous databases like Scopus, Web of Science, ProQuest, SciNet, etc., EBSCO. But I do not have the access of those databases right now. So I'm going to take you on Google Scholar. We are doing step number 3. Assemble the research team and determine if there are any registered protocols. So let me do that for you. There was a screen open. Okay. I did open a Google screen. I'll open it again. Okay, so let me go on. I generally do the step on Google Scholar. For any of you who do not have an access to Scopus or Web of Science or any of the paid databases, you can go to Google Scholar and check it out. So I need to see whether there is already a research. See, what do I mean by registered? In medical sciences, we say registered because, whenever they do a medical science report, they get it registered with an organization, patented, registered. But in social sciences, our method of registration is nothing but publication. Okay, so let me see if I want to work on a topic and is there a research on it. So let me go to the topic that I started with, theory of planned behavior. I showed you the model of theory of planned behavior. I want to see if on theory of planned behavior, anybody has done a meta-analysis or not. And let me go to past 5 years only, because before that, if somebody has done a meta-analysis, it must have been redundant. So now I can redo it. Okay, and always say that the last meta-analytical paper was 5 years ago. So these 5 years progress in research has not been listed in that paper, and my paper is going to list it. So let me see in the past 5 years. So if you see, there are n number of meta-analytical research which have happened on theory of planned behavior. The first page of Google Scholar is full of meta-analytical reports of theory of planned behavior. Okay, so this is not a topic I should be working on. Number one. Can I do a meta-analysis? Theory of planned behavior is a very, very big thing. Can I do a meta-analysis of all the papers of theory of planned behavior on sustainable consumption or sustainable products, say? All papers. See, somebody has already done a meta-analysis on theory of planned behavior, but maybe somebody has not done the meta-analysis or SLR on theory of planned behavior of only sustainable products. So let me see that. Okay, so here it is. There is a meta-analytical study which has been done on organic food consumption using the theory of planned behavior. There's another meta-analytical study which has been done on socially responsible consumer behavior, which is nothing but sustainable consumer behavior. So again, this domain is also gone. Don't do a meta-analysis on this. Don't start an SLR. Don't start summarizing the past 20 years of research because somebody has already done it. You will be, in a way, you will be reinventing the wheel. So what do? I search for some other topic. Now, let me give you some topics. Okay. There's a topic in marketing called impulsive buying. Okay, and I want to know if there are any meta-analysis paper on impulsive buying. And I see that yes, there are papers on impulsive buying. So there are two meta-analytical papers, and they have come in 2019 and they've come in 2020. So I cannot take impulsive buying. Let me take another construct which is related. Urge to buy. Urge to buy and impulsive buying are two different constructs. When I say constructs, it means two different variables. Can I do a meta-analysis on this? And there is no meta-analysis done on urge to buy. Yes, there are meta-analysis on impulsive buying, but there is not a single meta-analysis which has been done on urge to buy. So I can go and do an SLR in this context. Further, when you take a very generic topic like green marketing, I am dead sure there must be a meta-analysis done. Here it is. Okay, there are a lot of meta-analysis done on bigger and general. Now look at this paper number 2. Okay, young consumers' green purchasing behavior. Okay, which means only young consumers. Okay, performance of green supply chain management, a systematic review. So a lot of meta-analysis has been done on green supply chain, social marketing, which is green marketing. That still I would not go for this topic. Now there was a new topic that I found out. Urge to buy is one paper I'm working on. Impact of, let me come to my students topic. Religion on purchase intention, meta-analysis. Let me see if religion has ever been, religion does impact purchase intention, but I want to know that is there a meta-analysis done on it. See, when I write religion's impact on purchase intention, there will be 101 papers. These are all individual studies. These are all individual studies. So two things you have to see when you are selecting a topic for meta-analysis. Number one, the topic should not have a meta-analysis paper. So if I say religion on purchase intention and I say meta-analysis, there is not a single paper, which says a meta-analysis has been done. Look at the titles. The titles are more than enough to tell you whether a meta-analysis has been done or not. So number one, on this topic, no meta-analysis should have been done. Number two, if I remove the word meta-analysis, there should be enough paper. So what is a meta-analysis or an SLR made up of? It's made up of the past individual studies. So I should be having enough past individual studies to be going for an SLR. So when I say religion on purchase intention, I see n number of individual studies which have studied the impact of religion or religiosity on purchase intention. Ample of studies. But despite the fact that there are ample of studies, nobody has still done a SLR or a meta-analysis on how religion impacts purchase intention. After my student checked this whole process, that is the time when I allowed her to pick up this research problem. I just did in front of you step number 3. Determine if there are any registered, in process, or published systematic reviews on your topic. That is the first thing you have to see. Okay, and when you say registered, what does it mean? See, when somebody starts a research, especially in the medical field, when somebody is, doing a particular research, say that of a COVID vaccine or something, the moment you start a research, you register it. Because the research could take somewhere around 6 months to 8 months. And while you're working for 8 months, there might be another researcher who comes up on an SLR paper in your domain. So sometimes when you're in the process of writing a paper, we get it registered. Does not happen in social sciences, happens in meta-analysis. Now you might ask, ma'am, what if we are taking 8 months to collect a paper? We have found out a gap, say religiosity is a gap, I found out a gap. But I am taking some 8 months to work on meta-analysis. There are thousands of papers, I have to gather them, I have to do statistical analysis. What if someone within those 8 months publishes a meta-analysis in the same topic? If somebody does that, you will be very, very unfortunate. That's it. And nothing else can be done on that then. Once another person publishes a systematic literature review on a particular topic, your topic cannot get published for at least the next 5 years, till the time more papers come and his research becomes redundant. Right? Now let me go to step number 4. Develop and register a protocol. Now what do you understand by a protocol? I'm going to show you a whole protocol. There's a whole flowchart you make. Okay. But what do you understand by a protocol? When I was a kid, there was a protocol set for me. All of us have been living in protocols. The Indian society is full of protocols. So there was a protocol set by my parents. When you go to somebody's house, the host is going to offer you something. Okay, so fried cashew, for example, is something which I really liked too much as a kid. So they said when aunt asks you for a bowl of fried cashew, you will pick up one. Okay. The second time the bowl is rotated, the third time the bowl is rotated, you will not pick up at all. You will only pick up one cashew and only in the first go and not. This is a protocol. They are a set of norms that have been set, and you have to do your study according to those norms. So what is a protocol in an SLR? It's not as simple as it seems. This is what is a protocol. This is how you show it. I'll come to this whole process, but before that, let me define it. A protocol is a predefined set of steps which have a defined, well-stated limit. Okay, it defines the rationale and objective of the review, the inclusion and exclusion principles. So, unlike in a basic review where you had 5 authors and you did not have to justify anybody why you included those 5 authors, over here in an SLR paper, you're supposed to be justifying why you included these 100 or 200 authors. Okay, so let me take you straight away to an actual Prisma. The protocol given by medical sciences and has to be followed in social sciences is called preferred reporting items for systematic review and meta-analysis. It is known by the name of Prisma. Okay, this Prisma diagram has to be given in every SLR paper. Okay, so this is your Prisma. Now, let me tell you how we go about. I'll now tell you why you need a team. Okay, so once you've selected a topic, so we've selected, suppose, religiosity and its impact on, say, attitude and intention, or religiosity's impact on directly intention. Whatever topic we have selected, we will now make a Prisma for it. So we will go to at least 3 databases. Okay, I just can't say I took up all studies from Google Scholar. I just can't say I took up all studies from Scopus. I will have to go to at least 3 known databases. Let me name the known databases: Web of Science, Scopus, EBSCO, ProQuest, SciNet. These are few of the famous databases from which the editor who's seeing your research paper or the guide who's seeing your PhD report will want articles from. So at least 3 databases have to be screened, ideally by 3 different people in the team. And those 3 people come together and say, we have some 6,638 articles which have been found on, say, attitude and intention. My problem was attitude and intention. So suppose I come across 6,638 articles, full text articles from 3 different databases, say Scopus, Web of Science, and ProQuest. The total number of papers I have is 6638. A team of 3 people has collected this. Don't worry, you're not going to fully read all these papers, because if you do that, it's going to take ages. Okay, so you're not going to fully read the paper. Just give me 1 minute. No. Yeah, so you're not going to fully read the paper. What you're going to do is you are going to screen them on the basis of title. So the first step is screening them on the basis of title. Okay. Next, after you have screened them on the basis of title, you will remove some 6,000 articles. Now let me give you an example of this. Okay, how I screen on the basis of title. Let me tell you with Google Scholar. You have to do this with all the papers collected. You know, when I type keywords, and whichever keywords, now this is my keyword, you have to give these keywords. I'm doing it on Google Scholar, you do it on Scopus, Web of Science, and EBSCO and ProQuest. You have to give these keywords to the editor. The editor will ask you which keywords did you select. So religion on intention, if this is the keyword I use, and these are the papers that I found out. Suppose these are one of those 6,636 papers I found out. So just see. Look at the title of the first paper. What is my aim? Religion and purchase intention. Right? That is the papers I'm collecting for my SLR. Now let me see if I will select the papers or not. Religion and succession intention. Succession means after me, who becomes the successor of my family. Okay. Is it purchase intention? Is it related to my topic? No. Discard it. This paper is gone. Kicked off. Let's go to the next paper. I'm just screening on the basis of title. Stakeholders' intention to adopt gene therapy, effect of age, education, and religion. Am I working on stakeholder intention? Am I working on adoption of gene therapy? No. My area was purchase intention. Remove this paper. Go to the next one. Consumer intention towards halal foods in low-cost airlines Malaysia. Yes, this is consumer purchase intention. Okay, and this is something I can pick up. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So this paper I will take up. Consumer intention towards halal food in low cost airlines. This I will take up. Then there is the fourth paper, purchase intention of halal brands in India. Yes, purchase intention, brands, religion. I'll take up. Information driven multi-robot behavior adaptation to emotional intention. Is it related to purchase intention? No, I will skip this. Okay. Intention to buy snacks. Halal in Muslim students. Yes, this is purchase intention and it relates to religion. I will pick it up for SLR. I hope with this little example, you've understood how I came from 6638 papers to 1395 papers. I hope it is clear to all of you. On the basis of title screening, exactly the way I did it, you have discarded 6020 papers and now you are left with 1395 papers. And by the way, you have to report this. So if I go to Google Scholar again, okay, see, if you say this is the keyword, sir, I typed religion on intention, you have to report that you found out some 58,100 results. You're supposed to be reporting this. Don't use Google Scholar, use this on Scopus, etc. But I'm just telling you the same process has to be done. You have to list the keyword, you have to tell the editor the keyword, you have to tell the editor how many total search was here. So 58,100 searches were there. Okay, you screened it on the basis of title, you will left with how many you will have to tell the editor. So 6,000 papers removed, 1395 articles are left. Now, among these 1395 articles which have come from 3 people from 3 databases, there are going to be overlaps. So there could be a journal which is listed in Web of Science, plus it is listed in ProQuest, plus it is listed in Scopus. So when 3 people are working at 3 different databases, it is possible that there will be duplications. So out of this 1395, 198 are duplications and you remove it. You might ask me, ma'am, are we going to see all 1395 papers for duplication? I would recommend, please do not do a manual saving on desktop when it comes to such a huge secondary data. Please use a database software like Mendeley or Zotero to save such papers, because when you collect and save all the 6,638 papers on Mendeley, in a minute it will tell you that the titles are same and there are repetitions. So removing those 198 repetitions or duplicate is going to become very easy when you use database saving softwares like Mendeley. Okay, so 1395 papers, you removed 198 duplicate papers, you're left with 1197 articles. Okay, now you screen the abstract. As yet you were only screening the title and removing the duplicates. Now from these 1197 articles, screen the abstract. Now start reading the abstract. You've still not gone on the full paper. We are still not on the full paper. We are still on the abstract. 1197 articles I screen on abstract. When I read the abstract, sometimes I find that despite the fact that the title looked okay, this paper is not relevant to my research objective. So I exclude some 821 articles after reading the abstract. Now I am left with 415 articles. Okay, these are my full text. And now I will have to read these 415 articles as full text. Don't worry, as I said, we'll have a team of 3. So somewhere around 100 articles per person. Full text has to be read. Data has to be extracted from them and written. Okay. Now, after reading these full text 415 articles, which is 100 articles each, and you can do it over a span of 3 months. So every day, even if you read one article, over a span of 3 months, you should be able to read all 100 articles. Okay. So after reading 450 articles, you might find that 319 articles are to be excluded. Now, let me tell you the reasons why they will be excluded. These 415 articles are articles which are full text, which you had screened on title, which you had screened on abstract, but still you are rejecting 319 articles. Let me tell you the reasons of rejection. One reason could be that they are qualitative articles. See, if you have to do a simple SLR, you can take both quantitative and qualitative articles. But when you go to meta-analysis, you will have to remove qualitative research articles. Qualitative research articles are not included in meta-analysis at all. They are of no use to us because we need, remember the horsepower 0.9, 0.8? We need numbers. We need the correlation values of attitude and intention from each paper. So if they are qualitative papers and they are talking about attitude having an impact on intention, they are of no use to me if I am doing a meta-analysis. Okay, so remove those qualitative papers. There might just be studies which are not reliable. For example, you find that there are contrasting within a study, there are contrasting results. So you know that the study is not authentic. Maybe it's been done by a student and you found it on the web, but it is not authentic. So I leave it out. So somewhere around 319 articles are left after full screening, and then I come to 100 articles. Okay. These 100 articles are critically appraised. So what is critically appraised? These 100 articles are going to be read by all 3 members to see if they can all be included, to see if they have no other problem. And after critical appraisal, sometimes about 60 articles are removed because they are susceptible to bias. So, after we get these 100 articles and we start seeing the authors of these articles, we find that we have a little bit of bias. For example, in sustainability, if I get some 100 articles with a team of 3 people, and out of 100, somewhere around 60 articles are of the author Sheeran. What does it show? What does the data set show? It is showing bias. It is showing bias. So, if a data set of 100 is so skewed towards 60 authors, known authors, I will have to remove those authors and balance my data set. Now, after removing these 60 articles, which I feel are biased, I am left with 40 articles. Okay. And I will take data from these 40 articles and I will search for statistical data. Of course, I'm going for meta-analysis. Suppose in these articles, I need a statistical value. Here we need correlation in social sciences. Suppose I don't get that value, I will write to the author. I will say, sir, your correlation matrix is missing from the paper. Can you help me? If I get a reply, well and good, or else I'll be left with 31 studies from which I can extract statistical data, which are unbiased, which are as per my topic, which are critically appraised. And these 31 studies I'll use for my meta-analysis. Okay, this whole process is called PRISMA. Okay, it's a protocol for systematic review and meta-analysis, right? Okay, so let me go back to the steps. Let me see where we have reached. So we were at step number 4. We have developed and registered a protocol for the study. Number 5, we develop a comprehensive search strategy informed by inclusion and exclusion. So I'll show you a meta-analysis paper where you have to write, and all this has to be done in research methods. So chapter number 3, research methods, I will do a prisma. Okay, I will explain the prisma. I will write a paragraph on inclusion of studies. I will write a paragraph on exclusion of studies. Okay, point number 6, select studies on the basis of inclusion and exclusion. After defining inclusion, after defining exclusion, I will say these many studies were selected and why they were studied. All this that I've explained through a diagram, you have to write it down in words. Number 7, extract and analyze data. So out of all these 31 studies, I will pick up the correlation value. Number 8, interpret and synthesize results. This is what is the 5-day session I told you. Finding out effect size, finding out heterogeneity, publication bias, XYZ. Number 9, update review as required. So once you've done a meta-analysis, get it published. If I get it published in 2020, I have updated my review. Now nobody else needs to do a meta-analysis on this topic. Rather, some other topic should be picked up for meta-analysis except for what I've already got published in 2021. Okay, so this is the whole process of a systematic literature review. Now, let me take you to, the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So, selection criteria is generally done by 2 to 3 people. Why it is done by 2 to 3 people, inclusion and exclusion, is so that there is no bias. The inclusion of papers could be done from famous scientific databases like Web of Science, Scopus, Scilate, EBSCO, ProQuest. These are the most famous scientific databases or social sciences databases. Further, to find more papers, if suppose there is a topic I've not yet got, say 100 papers to do an SLR or 40 papers to do a meta-analysis, I can go to the references of papers, and from the references of papers, I can find many papers which could be included in my studies. Okay, the authors of published papers. So suppose there's a paper by Carrington on sustainability. I can contact the author Carrington and say, sir, do you know of any other paper in this domain? Because they are people who are into this domain for a very long period of time. They are well versed with the research which is going on in their domain. Maybe they could help you to get some papers. Okay, at the same time, if you send them a list, they might also reiterate that you have collected all the papers in the world for doing a SLR or meta-analysis. Okay, okay, research objectives is done. Okay, now let me define. I hope now it's clear. Let me show you that slide again. So this was your narrative review, if you remember. Okay, this is what we have been doing. It was very simple. And I hope after my explanation of the SLR, now you find narrative review much more easier than an SLR. Okay, and you understand that SLR is not a normal review. Okay, it is much more complex. It has certain protocols. It has certain norms to be followed, unlike this narrative review. Okay, so let me differentiate the 3 main topics. So one is a literature review. It is absolutely qualitative, subjective, biased, does not define some specific objectives. Systematic review is scientific. Okay, it has what we call a clinical question like a PICU. It has to be, it has a set of protocols. You have to define what you include, you have to define what you exclude, and this inclusion exclusion can be challenged by the editor of the journal also. Okay, so he can challenge that why did you include this or why did you exclude this. Okay, meta-analysis is a part of SLR. Some people feel that systematic review and meta-analysis are different. No, meta-analysis is a part of SLR, or should I say, it is the quantitative part of SLR. So, when from a systematic literature review paper, you start doing a statistical analysis, that is when it becomes a meta-analysis. Now, let me show you if you've understood this. Okay, so narrative, meta-analysis, you've understood. Okay, so end of the day, what we are doing is we have a set of horses, which means we have a set of papers, thousands of papers. Okay, all these horses will have different powers. So those 31 papers that you collected are not 31 paper, they are 31 horses. All of them will have a different power, all of them are different. Some will have a larger sample size, some will have a smaller sample size, some will be done in Europe, some will be done in India. Different horses, basically different papers. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to summarize the power of all these horses together and bring in that one value that we can, actually go to the fourth floor of our house and say, okay, listen, this is the value of attitude, impacts, intention. Forget all the conflicting studies in the past. This is the final value. So says meta-analysis of the past 20 years of research through 200 papers. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. Now, let me share with you an SLR paper so that I can, just give me 1 minute. Where's the share option? Okay. Okay. 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. Let me open an SLR paper and show you. This is a normal SLR paper. It's not meta-analysis. Okay, so it's a simple SLR paper. I would like to describe this paper to you. And whatever I've taught you, you will practically see it there. Okay. Yes. Sharing my screen. Yeah. Okay. So, this is a normal paper, and okay. Yes. I hope all of you can see the paper. Okay. Now, this is a typical SLR paper. Of course, the format of an SLR paper might just be different at different places. But this is what is a normal SLR paper. So I'm just going to take you through this. Okay. I'm going to, I've read this paper, so I know exactly what was the aim and what protocols the person has followed. Let me tell you, Journal of Cleaner Production is an A-star journal in the ABDC list. I hope all of you are aware of the ABDC list. Private sector, we only follow the ABDC list. We don't follow the UGC. We follow the Scopus and ABDC primarily. So this is an A-star journal of ABDC, which is the highest ranked journal. It is called Journal of Cleaner Production, and this is a paper of 2017, which is not a very old paper. Now, what this guy did is, the authors consolidated the definition of green marketing, number one. So, from all the papers that were there in the past, so, he has some 114 papers from the past. He has seen how the definition of green marketing has evolved ever since the first paper till now. So that is one thing that he's consolidated. And this is not a meta-analysis paper. It's a pure SLR paper. It is absolutely qualitative and no meta-analysis done on it. Okay, so this is a plain SLR paper. So number one, he defined green marketing through the past 20 years of research. Number two, he also tried to analyze what are the major marketing strategies Okay, the papers have studied in the past 20 years or whatever time he has taken. So from all the papers where he studied about green marketing, he's tried to consolidate what were the marketing strategies, product, place, price, etc. of the past research that has been done. And he has accumulated this into an SLR paper. Now, let me go to this paper. Let me see. So, let me come to the introduction part. Now, whether it's an SLR paper, just a minute. Yeah. So whether it's an SLR paper or whether it's any other paper, the introduction chapter always tells you what is the gap in the research, number one. Second, it tells you why your research is important. Okay. So in an introduction, generally the first paragraph that you take is talking about why green marketing is such an important thing in the industry. Okay, and then slowly and gradually he comes to what all research has been done in this domain, and finally he says that there is no SLR paper on this, and so I'm coming up with an SLR paper. Okay, he's listed research questions, okay, although not through a PICO. And now we come to the database. Now look at table number 1. He says that I used 3 databases. He's used Scopus, he used Web of Science, he used EBSCO. Okay. In each of the database, he has also given the keywords. He has also given the keywords which he has used in each of the databases. Okay. He has also written that each of the databases, which is the year he has taken, look at EBSCO. Okay, he says searched in. Okay, so he's given the title. He's said limited to only peer-reviewed academic publications. Non-peer reviewed, he's not included. Document type, academic publications. Okay, no videos, no pictures. Source type, academic journals. Data range, all years to 2015. So, I mean, if we go back, there's no limit of taking the amount of old paper we can take. From the oldest paper in our domain to 2015, he's taken all papers. Okay. Language, English. He has only chosen an English language paper to select from this database. He has not used any other language and got it translated or reported language results other than English. Okay. Similarly, he's described all these parameters for Scopus, all these parameters for Web of Science. And these are authentic databases, so you cannot, please, none of you should be writing that I went through Google Scholar to search papers. Google Scholar is not supposed to be an authentic database. All these databases, EBSCO, Scopus, and Web of Science, are paid databases. There are organizations from where you can access them. For example, in Delhi, MDI Gurgaon is one organization where they allow us to access these databases. They have a paid software for all these databases. So we are allowed to go there Saturday, Sunday to their library and access it. Of course, a very nominal fees is charged. IIT Delhi is another place where you can access it, and IIFT Delhi is the third place. So I only know about Delhi NCR. I'm not very well versed with what are the colleges in Haryana which can offer you these databases, right? Okay, let's come to table number 2. After analyzing all the studies, he's actually given the keyword. I told you on Google Scholar, note down the keyword and how many searches it is giving, because these keywords you will have to tell to the editor, and how many papers came out from each database, even that you have to report. And mind you, this is one data that I can fiddle with. Charger. This is one data that I can fiddle with, but I suggest you don't fiddle with this, because there was once a paper I gave in a review, and the reviewer wrote back that I actually, he had an access to Scopus, so he actually, uh, entered that keyword in Scopus and saw, and he said that not even one search was delivered. So they do cross check these things, so it is better you don't manipulate this data. In each of the databases that you go, you enter a keyword. These keywords he's reported in the paper. Okay, if you see from green marketing keyword, he got 291 papers in EBSCO, 300 in Scopus, and 223 from Web of Science. Okay, similarly, he's written for 4-5 keywords that he selected. Be very careful about these keywords, and please show it to experts before writing a paper, because once you submit the paper, the editor could say that, this is another keyword you could use. Why didn't you use it? Okay, so it's always better to consult experts before finalizing the keywords. And then remember, you're a team of 3 people. So all of you might be searching with different keywords at different databases. He did have duplicates. So if you see the last row, it shows total net of duplicates: 342, 351, 260. Total duplicates were 410. So this is one data that he has written about. Now look at the methodology chapter. Many of the SLR papers don't have chapter number 2, which is review of literature. Why? Because this whole paper of 8,000 words is nothing but a review of literature. Okay, it's systematic literature review, but it is review of literature. So generally in an SLR paper, we do have a chapter on introduction, but we do not have chapter number 2 or section number 2, which is review of literature. We straight away come to the section 2, which is methodology. The methodology in an SLR paper is very, very, very complex. Where in a normal paper, the methodology chapter might be barely 200 words. Here, the methodology chapter will just be somewhere around maybe 50 to 100 words. 7 times the methodology chapter of a normal research paper. Okay, now he starts with, let me go to 2.1, data collection. He says, I collected data from EBSCO, Scopus, Web of Science, etc. It's given in table number 1. He says, I used 4 keywords: green marketing, environmental marketing, eco marketing, which is given in table number 2. And how many search I found out, even that has been given in the tables which I've shown you. Let me come to study selection. He says that duplicate studies were removed. Okay. After removing duplicate studies, titles and abstracts were reviewed. Okay. In study selection, he's written that I have removed papers on the basis of, say, the titles. Okay. Now this process, you can see here, this process resulted in 161 potentially relevant articles. Okay, this were for full search. Of these, 21 of them, full text was not available. So he's very genuinely written that there were some, say, 400 something articles I found out, but I could not get access to 21 of them. Now see, this shows transparency. Not all paid papers will open up. Not all databases access will be there, even if I go to MDI Gurgaon. So there will be a set of papers, say 21 to 30, which will be left, in which I'll not be able to access the full text. Very genuinely, he has written that out of all the 161 papers that I had, 21 of them full text was not available. Okay, but 140 full text were available. I analyzed it thoroughly. Okay, on the basis of this full text analysis. So there was a title analysis, there was an abstract analysis, there's a full text analysis. On the basis of this full text analysis, he says, I discarded 26 relevant studies. Okay, at the end of the process, I was left with 114 articles, and these were included in the systematic review. The steps of selection are present in figure number 1. So let's see figure number 1. Figure number 1 is nothing but a prisma. Okay. EBSCO 342, Scopus 351, Web of Science 260, duplicates removed 543, resultant 410. Screening done on the basis of abstract, 249 were not relevant, 161 left, 161 full text were screened, 26 removed because they were not relevant. Okay. 21 removed because full text was not available. Out of this, we are left with 114 papers. Now, what you have to see in this research paper is, you just don't give the prisma and say, chalo, I'm done, mera kaam ho gaya. No, you don't do that. He has actually explained this whole process in words. So, if you see, so study selection, the column called study selection, these 3 paragraphs, he's explained this whole process in words. You just don't give a diagram of prisma and leave it. You have to explain it in words. No doubt, the research methodology chapter in an SLR paper is exorbitant. What we are trying to do is, we are trying to prove to the editor, or we are trying to prove to our guide, that I haven't left a single paper from the universe in my topic of green marketing. That is what he's trying to prove. Okay. Now let's come to data extraction. 2.3, data extraction. He says for each study included in the systematic review, data from the full text was extracted. The data that he took was author, publication year, year of publication, title, research question, and the main results. Okay, this is the data that he extracted from 114 selected studies. Okay, now he has further described, we can read further. He says 33 articles were published, 28 journals dealing in general. Okay, he shows that in figure 2. All that what he's written about, he's done an analysis of these 114 papers, on which journals did these papers come from. So figure 2, he says, this is all writing. 12 journals came from this. This is all the textual part. But what he's done in the findings is there in table number 2, figure number 2, sorry. This is the table 3, where he has analyzed that there are total 114 articles. He says maximum of the articles, 9 articles on green marketing, came from Journal of Consumer Marketing. 6 came from Journal of Strategic Marketing. Another 5 came from Business Strategy Environment. So he has listed the maximum 114 papers. Of course, there is a category called others. 53 papers came in others category. What is the others category? 1 paper per journal. Okay, but anywhere where there were 2 or more papers in a particular journal, he has listed it. Okay, now you would say, ma'am, what are the outcomes of this paper? Now this has very critical outcomes. If I refer to this paper, I work on sustainable consumption and green marketing. I write in that domain, and I always refer to this article when I'm submitting my paper. Okay, I always refer to this whole set of journals, because they are my target journals. Okay, so if maximum green marketing paper was there in Journal of Consumer Marketing, this is the first journal where I'll submit my paper if I'm writing on a theme of sustainable marketing or green marketing, right? So this is one analysis which he's done. Let me go back. Right, so this section is still in research methodology. It's called data extraction. You could take this paper as a sample paper, and if you are writing an SLR paper, make sure you have all these columns. So data extraction shows that from which journals it was taken. Now we come to chapter number 3, which is analysis of data. Okay, so this is the analysis of data. The first analysis he's done is on the basis of journals. Okay, so characteristics of studies included in review. The 3.2 is evolution of green marketing definition. So he started the definition from, if you can see, 1976. I've just highlighted it. The first paper that he's referred to, and if you remember, that was what was the title of his paper, that was what was the research objective of his paper. He said, I want to see the evolution of the green marketing definition since time immemorial. He did not define a time. So the first time, the first time this green marketing was defined was way back in 1976 by Henier and Kinnear. He started from there, and how the definition has progressed, he has written in a textual form. Further, he has summarized this in a tabular form also. Let me show that to you first, and then this is the table. I'm just showing you what we have read. This is the table where he says that these were the evolution of the definitions of green marketing, say from 1976 onwards. So see, he's gone chronological: 1976, 1995, 2001, 2009, 2013. 2015 was his last paper. Yeah, so 2013 was the last time it was again defined. Okay, and he published this paper in 2015. So this is the latest definition. And how it has evolved. What have I done? Just give me 1 minute. Let me see. Just give me 1 minute. Let me save the paper. Yeah. So yeah. So this is how he's taken you through the definition since 1976. Further, in his paper, he has also provided these two graphs. This is an analysis from 1993 to 2015. Okay, how papers have evolved. So when he says evolved, he says number-wise evolved. So where in 1993 there were barely 2 papers on green marketing. In 1995, he says there were 4. If you read the graph, there was a sudden rise in 2012. If you read the x-axis of the graph, and then again in 2014 it came down, and 2015 again it's increasing. So 2012 was the peak year because it has the maximum number of articles on green marketing in the year 2012, and then there was again a decrease. Okay, although the evolution took 1993 to 2008, you see a very static graph. Suddenly there was a rise from 2008 till 2012. In these 4 years was the maximum rise of this topic called green marketing. The other graph which he shows is, I told you the second objective that he had in the SLR paper was that he was wanting to study the major marketing strategies which have been studied in these 114 papers. So the major marketing strategies that he has picked up or analyzed in these 114 papers are green marketing strategy, segmentation, targeting, positioning, product, price, place, promotion. Now you might say that, ma'am, how can out of a huge domain of marketing, how can he be biased and only select these particular basics of marketing like segmentation, targeting, positioning, etc.? So when you go further into reading this paper, you will see he has given a reference of Kotler and said, Philip Kotler, and said that Kotler says the basic marketing activities are these 6-7 activities. Thus, he has concentrated on collecting papers of green marketing, of the marketing strategies only from this 7-8 domains. Okay, so what I mean to say is, at every point of doing an SLR, you have to give a justification of inclusion and exclusion. So if he says that I included paper only from say 4Ps, positioning, differentiation, segmentation, targeting, he'll have to give a reason for it. Okay. So this is one analysis that he's done. Main definitions, evolution of definitions. He's described all this in a written form. Okay, so if he talks about positioning and differentiation, okay, he analyzes those 114 papers qualitatively on the basis of which of those papers spoke about positioning, which was the first paper which spoke about positioning, which is the last one, how that concept has developed over time. He narrates that, and similarly, he's done it for, if you see, this is 3.3.1. This is the first marketing strategy. 3.3.2, positioning and differentiation. All these strategies I had shown you in the graph also, bar graph also. Green marketing mix, product, price, place, promotion. So he says that the frequency of the study of these strategies in green marketing is something like this. So he says the maximum, if you see the bar graph, the maximum studies have been done in green marketing mix and promotion. Okay, so how did he conclude this? Reading those 114 papers and noting, extracting data from them. So year of publication, journal name. You remember the key findings also he had extracted? So key findings was for this purpose. Right? So he analyzes all the key marketing strategies which have been studied in the past through 114 papers, summarizes them theoretically, and of course final part is the discussion. Okay, now in discussion he says this is the concentration of those 114 papers. Now he says, now this is where he says the green marketing strategy and green marketing mix, okay, includes these points, says Kotler and Armstrong 2014. Right? So the fact that he has remained restricted to only these marketing strategies, see, there are some hundreds of marketing strategies. And if you start reading the SLR of all marketing done till date, all strategies of marketing done in date, it is very difficult. Even in an SLR, you have to have a defined objective. His objective was consolidating the past data for marketing strategies. But he was very, very definite that, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parameters or 8 variables he'll be taking to define that marketing. He has not gone out and selected any paper in these 114, which is other than the topic which is given. Okay, so of course, the reason you have to give, according to him, Kotler and Armstrong has said that these are the, so that is the reason he has not included any other paper except for these strategies. This is an absolutely, and then he draws conclusions, okay, and this is the in the appendix you always find the list of you know, his actual extraction. So so he says that green marketing definition, okay, from which authors he got it, which year, all that is a huge table, and that is generally given in appendices. Okay, so see here, marketing mix, 4 Ps, he's got the 4P papers. The papers which spoke about 4 Ps are these papers. Marketing mix, product, the papers out of 114 which spoke about product are these papers. So he's very categorically given all the papers he's referred to. This is generally given so that in case the editor wants to cross check, he can do so, and we can prove that we haven't left any paper from the past literature research which we have not studied. Right? So this is a typical SLR paper. I hope you have noticed, and this is an A grade paper, A star. I hope you have noticed this paper does not have meta-analysis at all. It is a pure SLR paper. But it is systematic review, it's not normal review. You can see it is much more complex. The analyses are much more complex than a normal review paper, number one. Number two, any of you who are in your first year of PhD who are not well versed with quantitative techniques, be it SEM or correlation or chi-square or even meta-analysis for that fact, can at least write an SLR paper. Nowadays, basic review papers are not getting accepted, and the SLR papers are getting accepted like hotcakes. So much so that there's a professor of, I think, MNIT Jaipur, if I'm not wrong. He writes only and only on SLR and bibliometric analysis, which are related techniques of secondary data collection analysis. And you know what he started doing? He started doing an SLR of a particular journal. So, all the papers on green marketing in Journal of Consumer Behavior. Suppose, okay, so what he does is he collects all the papers of green marketing from a particular journal, say Journal of Consumer Behavior. He analyzes them through an SLR. After analyzing them through an SLR, he submits the paper in the same journal, Journal of Consumer Behavior. And he has published so many papers like this because what he's doing is he's writing SLR papers on a particular topic, his key topic, for all journals. He's doing it for individual journals. Okay, so in the past 20 years, Journal of Consumer Behavior, whichever paper was written on sustainability, he's consolidated that and given it to the same journal. That these are the papers you have, this is the theme of papers of sustainable consumption that you have published in the past 20 years. And the journals are very much interested in such SLR papers. Okay, so I hope the technique of SLR is clear. I think we can come to questions, if any. Are there any questions from respondents? I can take a few questions before I go to effect size.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, this is Rachna Arora. Ma'am, I have one query. Then how this SLR is different from bibliometric analysis? In bibliometric analysis also we see who are the main authors, what are the main papers published and other things. Then how this is different from this bibliometric analysis?
And bibliometric analysis is only, bibliometric analysis means only the analysis of references, okay, bibliography, okay. Here you see in an SLR paper it is much more broader. So in the SLR paper he has listed how the definition of green marketing evolved, okay. So he has just not spoken about references. In a bibliometric analysis we show which are the authors which are writing maximum. Here no such analysis has been done. No such analysis has been done. So bibliometric is a different technique altogether. SLR is different, bibliometric is different, meta is different. But be it meta-analysis, be it SLR, be it bibliometric analysis, all these three, the input in all these three is secondary data. We don't even go for primary data. That is what is common to these techniques.
Okay. And can we write paper where we are using SLR and bibliometric both? I have seen some of the papers.
Yes, that's a good combination. That's a good combination.
And ma'am, one thing more, while doing this SLR, should we restrict up to 2 variables or only one construct, not variable? Like if I want to do SLR on emotional intelligence, shall I see the relationship of emotional intelligence with other construct as well and then go for studies, or only emotional intelligence?
No, you can do with multiple, but it has to be a bivariate. It has to be a bivariate. You can do with multiple bivariate studies. It can be done.
What is it? How come multiple bivariate, ma'am?
Ma'am, see, attitude impacts intention is one bivariate study.
Yes.
Intention impacts behavior is the second bivariate study. So in one paper, I can do a meta-analysis of 6-7 such bivariate relationships taken together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
if I'm writing a research proposal, so in my literature review, can I write the systematic review literature, all the papers that I've written, or I should write the single papers? What should I do?
No, no. Just a second. Are you doing a PhD or are you writing a research paper?
I am doing PhD, but
Okay. So for PhD, you can first do an XLR of your topic
okay,
and then go for primary data analysis. Mixed methods.
okay,
Yeah. First SLR and then quantitative.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Myself, Dongar Singh. I have doubt on figure number.
So you're not audible. Can you please speak a little loud? You're not audible.
Okay. Hello, ma'am. Myself, Dongar Singh. I have doubt on figure number 3 on the
Yeah. Let me share with you figure number 3. Figure or table, sir?
Figure.
Figure. Okay. This one?
Yes. Okay. So, ma'am, what is the number? It's like a 0 or 10. It's like a percentage or
Number of papers, sir. Number of papers. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40 is the index scale for number of papers. So out of the 114, promotion was spoken about. Promotion as a topic was spoken about by some 45 papers. If you see the bar.
okay.
Right? Place was spoken by 8 papers. Price was spoken by 15 papers out of the 114 that he had analyzed. That is what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Dr. Kaur, can you please explain the green marketing paper with respect to the PICO that you spoke about?
Here he hasn't done the PICO, but I would like to share another paper that I've brought, which is a SLR and a meta-analysis paper. So this is one paper I'd like to share with you. It is on theory of planned behavior and dietary patterns. I told you there are a lot of papers on theory of planned behavior, but this was a specific SLR meta-analysis done on dietary patterns and theory of planned behavior. So only papers where dietary patterns of consumers were described through theory of planned behavior were taken over here. Here you would see, just give me a minute, introduction, and then, okay, we straight away come to methods because we don't have a review. So here, yeah, so he has described this is the PICO, if you see. In the selection criteria itself, he has described the PICO.
Thank you.
Then he has the prisma. Here is the prisma. Sorry, I lost the prisma. 1 minute. This is the prisma. But this is a paper which is SLR plus meta-analysis. So if you see the prisma over here, he says at the end he's left with 22 articles. Because here, unlike the green marketing paper, which was mere SLR, in SLR, we can stop at 114 papers because we don't have to segregate them into qualitative and quantitative. SLR can take both types of paper. But when we are doing a meta-analysis, we will have to remove all the qualitative papers. And thus, in a meta-analysis, we are always left with lesser papers than in an SLR paper.
One more question. Suppose we are doing research with an exploratory research design. Is it possible, and meta-analysis only comes when the statistical tool is used on the SLR. So is it possible to have a exploratory research design, but instead of a narrative review, have a statistical, have an SLR, and thereafter, once that has been done, we move into, we then bring in the primary data where we interview FGDs, etc. But
Sir, I'll explain. So all this SLR that we are doing it from topics which have already been studied. So these relationships have already been studied. These variables are already statistically proven.
Okay. So exploratory is not possible because no new
Exploration is not possible.
Right.
But what you are saying is that suppose somebody is doing a PhD in mixed method, rather than taking an SLR, the person goes for a qualitative research through personal interview. Suppose on a particular topic. He says that, okay, what is green marketing? He goes to some 25 experts, takes a personal interview and defines green marketing. Now, apart from all the definitions which are given in this SLR paper, there might just be an expert who defines it in a different way. That then becomes your new variable. That is what you can do in exploration. You can take that variable and then go for a primary data analysis for a correlation between that variable and some other variable.
One more conceptual clarity. So, if often when we talk of mixed methods, we're talking of an exploratory research design and a causal research design, right? What if it's exploratory and descriptive? Is that usually done? If so, how does it look like? Instead of causal, we just do exploratory plus descriptive.
So exploration and descriptive is, sir, suppose I find out, I'll give you an example. Now there is a new domain which has come up, which we are studying, which is panic buying. Especially during the COVID, we are trying to study panic buying. Now, when we are studying panic buying, sir, there are many factors which are listed. Okay. Now, I go for exploration through qualitative research. Okay. And I say that, okay, what is the fear that is leading to panic buying? Now, there might be some, if I find out from personal interview, Indians have some 10 fears, suppose. I say 8 are already there in secondary data. There was a panic buying at some time, 8 was already there, 2 are my new variables. Now, if I find out the frequency of this fear in a crowd of 500 people, Indian target consumers, then that would become description. If I compare the means of all the 10 fears to each other, that will also become description. That is not causal yet. So that is how we can do a exploration and description.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wants to ask a question? Yes.
I want to ask, when we are doing SLR, then there is a time limit that we have to study past 5-year paper or 6-year paper.
What did you say? You have any?
Time limit that we have to study past 5-year paper.
No. This person did not even define how old papers he is going to take, but generally when you are getting a paper published in 2021, even the last paper of 2021 in your domain, say in February 2021, should also be listed. That is what I see. I have a latest limit. I have no limit of which is the oldest paper.
Okay, ma'am, one more question. How we come to know that paper is authentic or not, or paper is biased or not?
Which paper?
Ma'am, you are...
the collected papers.
Any paper.
Ma'am, see, if you're talking about how to, when we select references also, we select it from, generally, I am a little biased. Okay, in my normal papers, not SLR papers, in my normal papers, I pick up, references only from A-grade journals. So, Taylor and Francis, Sage, etc. I refer to only these papers. Okay. or only Scopus database listed papers or Web of Science, because I know they are authentic, they are of good quality. But when it comes to an SLR, I cannot be biased. Let me tell you, maybe I missed it somewhere in inclusion. According to the books, I'm not saying practically I do it, but according to the books of Borenstein or books of Hunter and Smith, and especially Rosenthal, who are the fathers of SLR and meta-analysis, they say published, unpublished papers, dissertation of students, papers in progress, working papers, even they should be included in an SLR and meta-analysis. There should be no bias at all. We don't see the quality of papers before that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. I'm seeing some questions in the chat. Let me go to that. Okay, thanks for the lovely comments. Ritika ma'am is asking, a population intervention comparison outcome I read in the paper shared by ma'am. Okay, which paper, Ritika ma'am? Did you read it in green marketing or the other one that I just... Okay, ma'am, can you please explain once again? PICO. Rajvinder Kaur ma'am wants to know what is PICO. I'll explain that. Once again. Let me, give me 1 minute. So this is PICO. Okay, population intervention comparison outcome, which is the population you are studying. So if you are studying, suppose I'll give you another example. If you've not understood my student's example, I am doing a paper on SLR on panic buying. Okay, what is my population? The population which has ever bought a product in any pandemic, not only COVID-19, any pandemic, even previously any pandemic. That is my population. A normal consumer is not my population. Okay, so it has to be a consumer who has bought. So let me give you an example. I am a person who's an adult and who's buying during COVID times. Okay, my daughters are not buying. So they are not my target consumer. Even if they are 16-year-old, they are not buying in the pandemic situation. They are not my population. So if I am trying, my research objective is to see if attitude towards the pandemic affects the intention of purchase in pandemic, or the attitude towards the pandemic affects the panic buying in a consumer. My population is all those consumers who have ever done a purchase, okay, in this or any other pandemic. Number one, what is my intervention? There's a population. You're trying to see the impact of attitude towards the pandemic on the purchase panic intention, say panic buying of the consumer. Agree. So the two variables are attitude towards the pandemic, panic buying. These are the two variables you're trying to judge on the basis of past hundreds of papers which have studied this bivariate relationship. But is there an intervention you are seeing? You will collect 200 papers and study their attitude and panic buying. Agreed, you'll get a number. But are you trying to intervene? Are you trying to bring a moderator in this relationship? If yes, what is the moderator? Okay, so sometimes maybe males and females can be a good intervention. See, the panic buying, I mean, of course, I will have to do an SLR to consolidate this. But maybe the panic buying is more prevalent among women than in men. Okay, maybe. So intervention over here will be the gender. Comparison. Let me compare. Compare means I will divide the whole set into two sets. The higher order panic buyers and the lower order panic buyers. The ones who panic over one or two objects and the one who panic for all objects, starting from bread to oxygen concentration. Sorry, is somebody saying something? Okay, this is comparison. Outcome. From this panic buying, what am I trying to do? If I'll take the managerial outcome because I'm from the management domain. If you people are from other domains, you'll have to make outcomes. Like if the same study is done I saw the same study in a health journal. You know what they wrote as outcome? Government should give good services. We should reduce panic among consumers. We should reduce communication of scarcity of products among the consumers. These were the implications of health people. But if I am a manager, I want my product to sell. Okay, my implication would be that if people are going into panic buying, I can probably, bring an intervention, say hedonism. I could give them pleasure while buying. I could convince them by saying, don't worry, my stores will be full, my shelf will never be. So communication, okay, has to be given to them so that this panic buying remains, the buying remains, but the panic goes out of the buying. So this could be a managerial outcome to managers to manage their consumers while an pandemic is there and while the consumers are going for panic buying. So I hope population intervention comparison outcome you have understood. Ma'am, have you understood? Or have you forgotten the previous one also? I hope it's understood. All right. Yeah. Okay. Anjali ma'am says understood. Okay. Have to segregate. Now let me come to the chat. I think I'm losing the chat. Give me 1 minute. Have to segregate individually or... Okay. Ma'am, is it necessary to do a PICO and SLR paper or systematic review can be done without SLR? I didn't understand. A systematic review cannot be done without an SLR. I mean, a systematic review is SLR. Is it necessary to do a PICO? It is not necessary. But see, these are things written in the books. If you do it, nothing like it. More so, a PICO is more important in a meta-analysis paper. See, this intervention that I'm talking about, by the end of tomorrow's session, it is going to become moderator. You just saw an SLR paper. There is no need of moderation. There is just no need of moderation. So in an SLR paper, the PICO is not that important. But in a meta-analysis paper, PICO is compulsory. If green marketing has 58,000 results, do we have to read titles of 58 results? No. Sir, if green marketing is coming out with 58,000 results, remember this green marketing was on concepts of marketing. So I would suggest 58,000 is a huge number. So please, refine your keyword. Make it a little more refined. Let me explain. When I wrote religion impacts intention, there were some 58,000 searches. I never do that. I write religion impacts purchase intention. Then my 58,000 becomes 5,000. Is there any software to Prisma framework? No, there isn't a software. Let me share with you. I'll be sharing this document. Can everybody see? Can everybody see this document? Please, can somebody say a yes or no so that I know you can see it or not?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We can see.
So this is a typical document. It's a Word document. I took it from the Prisma website. Actually, there's a website which defines it. This is a typical protocol given by the company Prisma. I took it from their website and I can send all these documents to you. This is a blank document. Okay. So you can just cut, copy, paste this and do give this is the website www.prismastatement.org. Please do give the reference of this website whenever you are reporting. Right. So this is the Prisma group actually, which gave this format in 2009. Please do cite them and use this template. You can use this template. There's no problem in using this. Nobody's going to sue you for plagiarism. Right. Let me see the other questions which are there. Give me 1 minute. Chat. Yes. Could you please share this document? I'll share all documents. And I think this chat. Okay. Can you please explain PICO? I've explained. I'm going through the chat. Ma'am, if we are not having thanks to Scopus of Web of Science, then how can we go for SLR bibliometric? Look, ma'am, you'll have to find an access. I told you in Delhi, I have found out an access from MDI Gurgaon. Of course, not in the Corona times, but yeah, in normal times you can. Okay, just a minute. Green marketing and analysis. I'll be sending you this paper. Don't worry. I'll be sending you these papers. I'll be sharing. Professor Satish Kumar. Yes. Professor Satish Kumar from MNIT Jaipur. I'm with him on LinkedIn, and my God, he's doing a fabulous job in bibliometry. For every next journal, he's doing a bibliometric analysis specifically for a journal. Yeah, let me, I'm going for chats. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Okay. Paper. Okay. Thanks for all the comments. Can SLR be used to find research gap? Sapna ma'am, yes it can be, but that is a different domain. It is called qualitative analysis. So qualitative analysis through an in vivo software, that is when SLR helps you to find a research gap. It can be done. It can be done. And ma'am, even if you read this paper, do go through this green marketing paper. All of you, it's a homework today. Please go through it. You know, in the conclusion and discussion section, what he must have written, I'm sure, is that what else is needed. So till 2015, this has been studied in green marketing, and the future research or the gap must have been listed in paper. And if you want to do a new research, you can read such SLR papers, see the gap, and start a paper on that gap. So, you know, it's so difficult to find a new topic and gap. A grade journals are not even accepting without a good paper. So from these papers, if you read their conclusion segment, you'll get a gap. Okay, and how many would know out of 6638 articles, how many belong to best 3 databases? We have to segregate individually. So don't go by 6638. Segregate separately. So one person works on Scopus, one works on Web of Science, one works on ProQuest, 600 from here, 200 from here, 300 from here. That total comes to 6638. That is what the Prisma needed to say. Ma'am, is it necessary to do a PQ and SLR paper? That I've answered. Ma'am, green marketing is 58. Okay, that I've answered. Okay, research gap, that I've answered. Is there a software to Prisma? That I've answered. Anything else? I'll share all documents. I'll share. Okay. I'll share the presentation also, no problem. Do SLR papers end with scope for future research? Yes, they are not scope for future research, they find out the gap. So if 20 years of research on green marketing has this, it will conclude what it doesn't have. It will definitely give you in the last chapter. Minimum number of research articles to be viewed? No, there is no minimum number. No minimum number. Oh, minimum number that way? Yes. So in a meta-analysis paper, it should be at least 40 for an A-grade journal. For an SLR paper, I'm taking this A-grade journal as a base, 114. So anything above 100 is good for SLR. Anything above 40 is good for A-grade meta-analysis. Okay, what else? I think I've finished all the chats. Okay, single database we use to SLI? No, Nupur ma'am. No, because then there's a bias. So that is the reason we choose 3 databases, and most of the times, you know, there are prominent databases, not even Google Scholar can be used. I use prominent databases. Ma'am, Prisma is necessary for SLR? Definitely necessary. Anju ma'am, definitely necessary. Prisma is necessary for all meta-analysis papers. Okay, even if you don't give it diagrammatically, doesn't matter. In my papers also which I have submitted, I have not given the Prisma diagrammatically, but all those subsections that I showed you, inclusion, exclusion, data collection, at least those paragraphs should be there. Okay, even if you are not necessarily giving a Prisma. Can I single that screen? I think I finished with all the queries, and I'm.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Hello, ma'am. I am research scholar from Delhi University. Ma'am, I have attended your session on the same topic. So I have 2 doubts regarding that. Ma'am, first, my research area is green purchase behavior. So as you said, ma'am, it is widely used and it is old. So is it a novelty if I limit it to a specific product category? As most of the research is done in journal green product. So is it a novelty, or it can be my research?
It is a novelty, ma'am. It is a novelty. There is one of
Okay.
my papers of urge to buy where the reviewer has written back to me. I'm just sharing my experiences. It was an
Okay.
A grade journal that I sent it. It went through editor. The reviewer has written that rather than doing a general UBT urge to buy, why don't, because impulsive buying has been done and it is a related topic. So he has suggested to me to do an impulsive buying or urge to buying only for online products. He suggested me that because this has never been done. So you can do it for a specific this thing.
Okay, ma'am, my second question is, so I am using this the same theory, theory of plant behavior (TPB), and it is very old and redundant. So, ma'am, is it
Redundant.
advisable that I should go with this theory, and I can extend this theory? Do you suggest
Are
me
you
that
doing
I
a
should stick to some
PhD
other?
or are you doing a PhD or are you doing?
Yes, yes, yes. I
You're
am
doing
doing
a PhD.
PhD.
Don't take a theory of planned behavior. I would not suggest that.
Okay, so ma'am, do you suggest should I take some other theory or I shouldn't take any
No, no,
theory?
no. You will have to take a theory, ma'am. For PhD, you cannot do any research without a theoretical base. You
Ma'am,
will have to take a theory.
in journal, can I take like the factors and I can make my own model or
Ma'am, bringing in your own model can only be done through a technique called grounded theory in qualitative research. So if you're doing description or if you're doing causal research, you have to base your research on a present theory. You can't do grounded theory in description and causal researches. So please go through research designs, Malhotra and Dash. Please go through research designs. Do I have the book here? No. So market research by Malhotra and Dash. Please see the research designs. You'll come to know that where you can do what.
okay. Ma'am,
Right?
this is my last question. So ma'am,
Yeah.
I am working on a bibliometric paper. Ma'am, most of the journal are not accepting this type of paper, bibliometric paper.
No, no, no,
So
Chavi. I just spoke about Dr. Satish. She's very, very famous. I mean, I'm dead sure that his scholars are also involved in those papers. So definitely, I think he only writes on bibliometric. Bibliometric is so famous on LinkedIn. Apart from Dr. Satish, also I see so many who are writing on bibliometric. It's very famous. It is being accepted, no doubt. Meta-analysis, systematic literature review, and bibliometry. This is going to remain for probably this year and next year. It's going to remain, and it's very popular, by the way. It's very popular.
so I can go with it.
Yes, you can go. Definitely go.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, Archana, ma'am, this is beneficial for legal research. Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yeah, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Rachna.
Ma'am, with respect to this PhD purpose, ma'am, just now you talked about there should be established theory which is the base for PhD. Ma'am, can we include any moderating variable in that relationship as a contribution in existing literature
Yes,
which has never
yes.
done before?
That can be done, but ma'am, theory has to be there.
But ma'am, if moderator is never used before in that relationship, how will I defend it?
Ma'am, suppose the theory is theory of planned behavior. Okay, you have three moderators. You have, sorry, three direct relationships, which is attitude, subjective norms, and PVC. Now you
Okay.
want to bring in religion. Okay, so you have to go back and check in literature if religion has ever been tested on theory of planned behavior. If it has been tested, don't take it. Find out that variable which has never been tested on theory of planned behavior. And there are many new variables coming up, ma'am. Frugality, hypernopia, there are so many new variables coming up.
Ma'am,
Please take those.
that will be considered as our contribution. But ma'am, how will we defend it as some of the people have this opinion? Please correct me if I am wrong. People are saying you cannot add any new variable as a moderator or mediator which has never done before. If we can't do, then what is our contribution if we are repeating the same thing again?
Ma'am, see, the variable has been made and the items have been made by some XYZ author. It
Yes,
has
ma'am.
never been tested on theory of planned behavior. That is your contribution. The variable is ready. The variable is ready. The items are ready. It has been tested on some other models also. It has never been tested on theory of planned behavior. That is what is your contribution.
Ma'am, with respect to OB, if I take the theory of emotional intelligence and well-being, Mayer-Solovay theory, can I add the personality as a moderator for testing it in
Has it
PhD?
been added in the past 20 years? Do you know that first? Have you studied that?
Ma'am, I have never come across any paper where personality is used as moderator in this relationship. EI can be used in between personality and well-being because that is also an
Rachna
established
ma'am,
theory.
Rachna ma'am, what you are asking me, you have to study the past literature and ask the literature. I'll not be able to answer this question. If personality has been used in emotional theory or not, this only past literature can tell you. Before deciding your topic and variables, take 3 months and read all papers of your domain. That is all I can say.
Ma'am, that I got. Ma'am, my question was, if that is not used as a moderator, can I use it?
Yes, sure you can. Sure you can.
Because there are relationship established in between emotional intelligence and personality and well-being, but personality is never used as moderator.
You can do that. You can do that.
In PhD, ma'am.
Yes, you can do that.
And I defend through saying that this has not been tested before, so I want to test it.
Yes. And to support the literature, you can use the direct relationships in review of literature to support the hypothesis.
Okay, ma'am.
You can do that.
How this is related to DV? Okay.
Yeah, how it is related. Okay, Rohan sir, I'll not be taking bibliometric analysis. I'm only taking SLR and
Excuse me, sorry for the interruption. We are getting late for the lunch break.
Yes.
Excuse
I know.
me,
So let me take your
participants.
question.
Excuse me, participants, can you hear me?
Aarti
You
ma'am,
can, Hanji.
we'll break for lunch and rest of the questions I'll take at 2.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, so
Before proceeding for the lunch, I am requesting all the participants, please switch on your camera for 30 seconds. We need to click some photographs.
Oh yes, I have
Please
to
switch
update
on
my
your camera
link.
for 30 seconds.
Yes. Please, everybody. I have a lot of social pressure, social media pressure. Yeah.
What did you say? I didn't
I
hear
said,
you.
ma'am, please do give me those pictures. I have a lot of social media pressure. I have to put them on LinkedIn.
Okay, fine. I thought you were asking.
No. That was only on a jovial note. Yes. So, can everybody switch on their cameras, please, for 30 seconds?
मैम जसप्रीत मैम को एक बार शेयरिंग स्टॉप करनी पड़ेगी उसके बाद आई कैन
Okay. Yeah. Give me 1 minute. Sorry, I just have stopped. Sorry, have I stopped? I've stopped sharing.
Whosoever is speaking, you can ask your query after the lunch break. Your session was so impactful, so knowledgeable that we don't want to miss even a single second of your session.
I can understand.
So I'm requesting all the participants that now you can go for the
Aarti ma'am, we can't hear you. I can't hear Aarti.
am I able to you?
Yeah, now you're audible. So can we leave for lunch?
We are done with the pictures.
Yeah.
Just a sec. Just a sec. We are done with the pictures.
Fine.
I think I was not.
I need to switch it off. Am I audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think I have some connectivity issue in my laptop, so I have connected with my phone. So, photograph session is already done. Now you can go for the lunch break, and we'll gather here again at 2 o'clock.
Thank you.